Good morning. Welcome to worship from our old ship meeting house on this warm spring, summer-like morning here in Hingham. Welcome to everyone, near or far. It's good to see you all, at least on my screen. We begin as we do each week with a chime, and then we move to our prelude, which this morning is Jamaican Dance Number 2 by Oswald Russell that Christopher will play. We begin. Thank you, Christopher. Gathered once again to reflect, to renew, to be comforted if comfort we need, to be inspired if inspiration we need, to breathe again together the spirit of life that we always need, spirit of life and love, that we might better live a life of love and kindness as we go forth each day, each moment. We have gathered once again, and it is good. Our introit will be sung by Rich Jensen as Tranquil Streams.
As tranquil streams that meet and merge and flow as one to seek the sea, our kindred hearts and minds unite to build a church that shall be free from the bonds that bind the mind to narrow thoughts and lifeless greed, free from a code that fails to serve the basic cause of human need.
And thank you, Rich. Our chalice lighter this morning is Susan Carrillo. Susan, thank you so much for being with us in this role this morning.
Good morning, everyone. So since I am the proud mom of a high school graduate this year, I decided to light the chalice with a quote from a graduation speech given by Bill Watterson. And if you don't know, Bill Watterson is the artist who created the comic Calvin and Hobbes. I tell you all this because it's worth recognizing that there is no such thing as an overnight success. You will do well to cultivate the resources in yourself that bring you happiness outside of success or failure. The truth is, most of us discover where we are headed when we arrive. At that time, we turn around and say, yes, this is obviously where I was going all along. It's a good idea to try to enjoy the scenery on the detours because you'll probably take a few.
Thank you, Susan. I couldn't tell if your sound dropped out. That's a wonderful quote from Bill Watterson, Calvin and Hobbes fame. In that spirit of graduations and spirit of all of our lives, I light the flaming chalice of our faith. We're invited to sing together. If you have a hymn book or if you've downloaded the hymn, it's Be Thou My Vision, number 20, Be Thou My Vision. Welcome again to worship from our Old Ship Meeting House, the place of worship for First Parish in Hingham, Old Ship Church, Unitarian Universalist. I'm Reverend Ken Reed Brown, along with Christopher Nicholson Mann, our music director, and this morning here from the Meeting House, also Chloe Brede, our interim director of religious education. We'll hear from Chloe later on. I'll be sharing the Time for All Ages in just a moment. First, a couple of announcements. Anyone who is new among us this morning, invite you to explore our website, oldshipchurch.org, to learn more about us. just as we look forward to learning more about you and getting to know you. Fellowship Hour, as always these days, continues on this same Zoom link right after the service. So hang on if you'd like to chat with fellow congregants after the service. One additional announcement, I want to particularly thank Joan Wilson, who for many weeks has been supplying us with flowers from her garden many of the Sundays in past weeks. When you see beautiful arrangements, they are Joan's. Thank you so much, Joan, for gracing our service with the beauty from your garden. Thank you. Well, as I say, this morning, I'll be sharing the time for all ages, and it is all from a book. In fact, I'll be reading this book by Mo Willems and Amber Wren called Because. And I think you're about to see the photograph of the cover, Because. And you can see, if you look carefully, there's a musical theme going on here, all those notes. I don't have pictures of all the pages. I'm not as creative as Chloe in that regard. I'll read the story while you look at this photograph or picture. Because a man named Ludwig wrote beautiful music. A man named Franz was inspired to create his own. Because many years later, people wanted to hear Franz's beautiful music. They formed an orchestra. And because a man had practiced since he was a kid, he was asked to join. And because a woman studied day and night, she too was asked to play. And because many others loved and practiced their instruments, drums, cellos, bassoon, and on it goes, there were enough musicians. And because someone created a poster about Franz's music, tickets were sold. And because the train conductor stopped the train at the Grand Concert Hall, the orchestra conductor arrived on time. And because the orchestra librarian had copies of the score, all the music, the orchestra rehearsed. And because workers checked the lights and the seats and swept the floors, the grand hall was ready. As the time had come, the ushers opened the doors. Because someone's uncle had caught a cold, someone's aunt had an extra ticket for someone special. And I'm looking at the picture. That someone special is about this high. So it looks like her child. Because the usher helped the aunt and her special guest, they found their seats. And because everyone was there to hear beautiful music, it was quiet. Until the music began. And in row C, seat 14, that special guest heard the beautiful music written by the man named Franz, and it changed her. The girl was changed. From that moment on, the girl learned everything she could about music. Soon, she started to write music too. And because, like Franz, the young woman had something to share, over time, the woman became very good because she worked very hard. One night, her music was discovered because she was also very lucky. Then she was invited to perform her music at the Grand Concert Hall because so many people wanted to hear it. Her composition was dedicated to the uncle that night, finally sitting in row C, seat 14, because it was his ticket that brought her here. And that night, someone else was changed. And the music flowing to another little person. That is how it happens. Because here ends the story. I'll have a little more to say about because stories later on. But right now, we enter our time of sharing joys, sorrows, and concerns. You may, as always, enter a joy or a sorrow or concern into chat. You may hold it in your heart. We light the candles for all those. Several of you have written in advance candles you would like. Brian McPhillips. Brian asked for a candle for his mother, who died earlier this week He says, peacefully and painlessly at the age of 94. We send our deep sympathy to Brian and all his family. This from Turner Bledsoe. He writes that Jones, his wife, Joan Bledsoe, Joan's congestive heart failure caught up with her on Friday. Turner says a trip to MGH and resulting treatment for the time has helped. There will be more ahead. So we send with this candle healing, thoughts, and prayers for return to good health for Joan. From Derek Wadman, candle of sorrow for the carnage, the destruction in Gaza, as at the same time, he writes, we affirm that there's no place for anti-Semitism. We hold all in our hearts in that troubled part of the world. And from Connie Gorfinkel, for her grandson Joe Wiley's graduation from Hingham High, he'll be along with J.D. Carrillo, who Susan mentioned, one that we recognize later on as a high school senior. So she writes, for her grandson Joe Wiley's graduation from Hingham High and his upcoming attendance at one of the nation's naval colleges. Joe, Connie tells us, is the last of her 8 grandchildren to embark on this exciting voyage to the future. She continues, after more than a year of separation from one another and uncertainty about what the outcome of the pandemic might be, there is light at the end of this tunnel, a light that gets brighter as each of our children venture forth into a world they are ready and able to take on. I light these candles for those 4 that we've just heard, for any in chat, and for all that we hold in our hearts. And we gather our hearts and minds in the spirit of meditation, prayer, and then shared silence. Breathing, allowing our breathing as we notice each breath. No hurry, just allowing our breathing, noticing our breathing. Noticing our body, allowing arms and legs to relax, allowing any tension to flow out through our toes as we breathe into presence. Just breathing, just being. And as we do, wishing and praying that others might also have whatever measure of peace and calm we are experiencing, we send forth in widening ripples of peace and calm to others. As we hold in our hearts all who grieve, this morning, Brian and his family, all who are ill. We think of Joan and many others. All who suffer in the midst of injustice, violence. We have George Floyd's family very much in mind and heart on this 1-year anniversary this week of his murder. We hold in our hearts all in the midst of war. May all know peace. May all know justice. May all be held with love. As our meditations and prayers to the God of all names and beyond all names continue in shared silence. Andrea Ramsey's There Has to Be a Song, which will be sung by Chris Marr. There has to be a song.
There are too many dark nights, too many troublesome days, too many wearisome miles. There has to be a song. There has to be a song to make our burdens bearable. There has to be a song to make our hopes believable, to transform our triumphs into praise. There has to be a song. Somewhere down deep in a forgotten corner of each man's heart, to release the chains of past defeats. There has to be a song, like a cool, clear drink of water, like the gentle warmth of sunshine, like the tender love of a child. There has to be a song. There has to be a song.
And we're glad Chris is one of those singing our songs. Thank you, Chris. We have one reading this morning. It's one that's been shared on other occasions here at Old Ship. It may sound familiar to you. I never tire of it, and I hope it continues to hold meaning for you. Dennis Hogan is our reader this morning. Thanks, Dennis, for sharing this.
Our reading this morning is from Choose to Bless the World by Unitarian Universalist minister, Reverend Rebecca Parker. Your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. The mind's power, the strength of the hands, the reaches of the heart, the gift of speaking, listening, imagining, seeing, waiting, any of these can serve to feed the hungry, bind up wounds, welcome the stranger, praise what is sacred, do the work of justice, or offer love. Any of these can draw down the prison door, hoard bread, abandon the poor, obscure what is holy, comply with injustice, or withhold love. You must answer this question. What will you do with your gifts? Choose to bless the world. The choice to bless the world is more than an act of will, a moving forward into the world with the intention to do good. The choice to bless the world can take you into solitude to search for the sources of power and grace, native wisdom, healing, and liberation. More, the choice will draw you into community, the endeavor shared, the heritage passed on, the companionship of struggle, the importance of keeping faith, the life of ritual and praise, the comfort of human friendship, the company of earth, the chorus of life welcoming you. None of us alone can save the world. Together, that is another possibility, waiting. Here ends the reading.
Thank you, Dennis, and amen. Our offering will be given and received. The offering each week can be given to all of our ministries to help move forward all of our ministries here at Old Ship. And it can also be given to the particular outreach organization for each month. In May, as you've been hearing, we are giving that outreach offering to the Hingham Unity Council, which has been and continues to create programs educating the community, lifting us up towards justice, hearing other voices to help us all be more effective in our work for justice. You can find these options on our oldship.org, oldshipchurch.org website on the donate link. You may give to the ongoing ministries, and you may give to this outreach offering this month through that link. And as you do, either now or later, but at this point, we will hear Heather Nolasco sing our offertory, I Will Sing You the Stars by Mark Burrows. Heather.
There are oceans you must cross. There are races you must run. You will fall, you will rise, you will soar through the skies. Your new day has just begun. And when darkness closes around you,
Thank you, Heather. Who wouldn't want that song sung by Heather at their graduation ceremony? Thanks so much, Heather. Today is our annual Religious Growth and Learning Sunday. Ordinarily, we would have our high school seniors right here with us to receive their gifts. Chloe and I will be meeting with most of them after the service for a time of sharing and to give them their gifts. But for now, Chloe will name our graduates. I'll say a little bit about the gifts, and then we will each have a reflection to share. So Chloe, who are our high school seniors we're recognizing today?
Good morning. Our high school seniors that we're recognizing as they make this big transition from being teenagers in high school to young adults out in the world, whether it's at higher ed institutions or in jobs, big transitions. So today we honor Eric Anderson, Seamus Doyle, J.D. Carrillo, Tyler Eklund, Emmett Sexton, and Joe Wiley. Congratulations.
And most of these boys, as it happens, have been through most of our programming here at Old Ship. We know that they will always be able to return. It's always the case. We'll be giving them a few gifts as we do each year. I'm just going to describe them to you first. This pocket Pema Chodron has become kind of iconic when our youth group has gone on trips, and Beverly Tricot used to hand this out or read from it to inspire the youth. And now every youth will have one of their own. Chloe has inscribed them with congratulations from our Old Ship family. You can open this almost any time for words of wisdom you might need. And then another one of the gifts that we always give is a blank journal. It's a different kind of journal each year. This one has the universe on the front, a blank journal to write the story of your life. Here's what it says, because we also give 2 bookmarks, and on one of them, it's personal. I happen to have the first in the alphabet here in my hand, to Eric Anderson, from First Parish in Hingham, Old Ship Church, Unitarian Universalist, May 2021. May you use the pages of this book to record and reflect on the story of your life. You have much to offer. We wish you many blessings. And I've signed each bookmark. And on the back, as you perhaps can see, photograph of our Old Ship steeple. We offer a second bookmark as well, and that is a laminated version of the 7 Principles of Unitarian Universalism. A reminder, whatever book you put this in over the years, a reminder of your, not just your home here at Old Ship, but a reminder that your home anywhere in a Unitarian Universalist congregation or wherever you go, inside or not, congregational life, these values can lead you and hold you in good stead. But finally, again, you always will and do have a home here. We look forward to seeing you back whenever you do return. Well, I'm going to share a reflection then. As I said, we'll hear from Chloe as well on the theme, mind and heart. My own feeling is, and it's not shared by everyone, is that any occasion is enhanced by a banjo. And that is actually a lead in to one of my because stories. Which goes like this. It really could have begun, this particular because story in Africa, where banjos in another earlier forms originated. But I'll begin with teenage Pete Seeger. Because a teenage Pete Seeger liked the sound of the banjo, he asked his mother if he could buy one with the savings that he had. Because she agreed, and because he practiced and practiced and practiced some more, he got pretty good, in fact, more than pretty good on the banjo. And because others liked the sound of his banjo playing and wanted to learn how to play the banjo, Pete put together a little book called How to Play the 5-String Banjo. And because my parents, and I'm still not sure why, but for some reason, because they thought I might like to play the banjo too, when I was 15 or 16 or so, they gave me a banjo kind of out of the blue. And along with that banjo came a little book, How to Play the 5-String Banjo. And because they were right that I did like the idea of playing the banjo, because I practiced and practiced, I got pretty good. Not nearly as good as Pete Seeger, but I can play a few tunes. And here I am, many weeks, playing the banjo for you. On a Pete Seeger model, by the way, that I acquired many years later, a Pete Seeger model long neck Vega banjo. Well, here's a lesson for all this, not a banjo lesson, but a life lesson. If we think about our lives, every one of us, think about your life just for a little bit, we'll realize that we each have a because story, maybe more than one, maybe many because stories, the more we think about it. A few weeks ago, I told you I didn't use the word because, I don't think, but I told you another one of my because stories, how I met first week in college, met this professor, Ashok Gangadine, who inspired me to take philosophy classes, major in philosophy. And because of all that, I continued my philosophical and religious studies. And now here I am, drawing on those studies each week in my preaching and often midweek in my teaching, because. So maybe you're already thinking about your own because stories. Think of one anyway. If we were here in a small room together, I'd ask you to share it, but at least think of it for yourself. A because story that led you along your way. How was your life maybe changed, maybe even transformed by, in some cases, a chance encounter? Just so happened that Professor Gangadine had started teaching at Haverford. If he hadn't, who knows? What are your because stories? Well, while you're pondering that, reflecting on that, here's the second part of the lesson, part 2 of this lesson. Yes, each one of us has our own because stories, no question about it. And each one of us has at one time or another, more often than we probably know, been part of someone else's because stories. We may never know. We often don't know how a word we've said or a skill we've shared or just being with someone has changed a life and become part of their because story. But what we do know is just that a word we speak or a skill we share or our simple presence has that power to be the because story for someone else's life, just because. I came across this quote just this morning on my computer. It was not attributed, very simple. If speaking kindly to plants helps them grow, imagine what speaking kindly to humans can do. And because we know all this, we know that we are contributing to others because stories, we might be encouraged to live as closely or more closely aligned with our own true gifts as we can. The reading this morning, which as you heard was about gifts from Reverend Rebecca Parker. Rebecca Parker was president of Starr King School for Religion, my school, but she was president some years after I arrived. And a longer version of the reading you heard was for many years printed in the course catalog of the Starr King School for the Ministry to remind students, entering students, kind of why they were there, to remind us students that at the heart of education for the ministry, at the heart of it, is this invitation to come to know your gifts and then to choose to bless the world with your gifts, whatever they might be, gifts of certain qualities of being or gifts of certain skills, to bless the world. For most of us, that means one person at a time, after all, to be the because for someone else. And this message is, of course, not at all limited to schools of religious leadership or ministry. It's pretty much what we strive to do here with one of our ministries, which is the ministry of educating minds and hearts. Whether in services here or in classes or in chance encounters to draw out what is within, whether for our smallest ones, for the youth that we're celebrating today, for elders, for everyone in between, educating mind and heart for all of us. And here I'd remind us of one of the meanings, the root meanings of the word educate, which means to draw forth or to lead forth. What we're doing is to draw forth what's already within, the qualities of kindness and love and compassion, just waiting within each and all of us, waiting to be more fully learned, developed, activated to bless the world. Now, most of the young people that we are naming today as high school seniors experienced our coming of age program a few years ago. And you may recall that at the end of each coming of age program, the young people share their credo, their this I believe statement they've worked on during the coming of age year. And if we get nothing else from those statements, we get that we've done pretty well here, and their parents have done very well in drawing forth, educating these minds and hearts to draw out qualities of kindness, generosity, justice seeking, peace seeking, truth seeking selves within them. We know that they will bless the world with their gifts. We know indeed that they have already been blessing the world with their gifts as they continue to learn and grow into themselves and their lives of blessing. May this be so for all of us, each and all of us, in our lives of continued learning and growing, mind and heart, our lives of blessing the world with our gifts. May it be so. Chloe.
Thank you, Ken. So I spent a lot of time thinking about the purpose of church. Why is church unique? What makes it special? Why do people come and stay? How do we help people feel comfortable and welcome here? As you gathered from Ken's story, both the book and his own story of being given a banjo, that there is power in small moments of because. Moments that give the gifts of exploration, of trial and error, moments that allow becauses to form. Church can be a place for these moments. I was a childhood musician. I started playing the violin at a young age and played it until I graduated from high school. And to be honest, I was never very good at it. I had a good sense of pitch, a good ear, but I seemed to sort of lack rhythm. I still do to some extent. One Sunday, probably when I was in middle school, I performed for a church service, and I didn't do very well. Really didn't do very well. I was so nervous, I couldn't stay in rhythm, and I lost my place. The music director didn't ask me to perform again after that. It was sad. But when I think about the experience, I can't help but think that that was a perfect place for that to happen. No one laughed. No one teased me. I was dealing with my own intense feelings of embarrassment, but I never felt that judgment from my church family. It was nice. Our kids and youth face a lot of pressure from the outside world. Pressure to go to a good college, to get good grades, to play sports well, to play an instrument, to join the right clubs. At church, we can provide a safe space away from all of that, away from the expectations, a space where we can make mistakes, we can explore new ideas, we can find becauses rather than have tos or musts. It's lovely. I have stayed connected to church because of these possibilities offered here. As a young adult in my early 20s, I began singing in church choirs, probably surprising given my earlier experience with church music. Church choirs in Burlington and Sacramento, Unitarian Universalist church choirs, and later at Harvard Divinity School opened their doors to me even as I struggled with confidence and rhythm. It's because of them that I've built my confidence and now love, for the most part, singing in a group. They also kept me connected to the church community. They're one of my becauses in my journey to ministry. As a traveling person, especially in my early 20s, being able to land in places like Burlington in the church choir, in Sacramento in the church choir. And so when I started working here at Old Ship with the youth group, one of the first things they said to me was, "We are tired." At first, I struggled with that. Shouldn't we as a youth group be doing stuff? Lots of service projects. Let's do all of them. Attend all the protests we can find, engage in deep discussions about the meaning of life and our place in the world. But the youth were right. They needed a place to just be, a place to relax, a place to escape from the expectations and the schedules, from the have-tos and the musts, especially in these COVID times, especially when their worlds have been completely turned upside down. And while it took me a couple weeks to get used to it, I'll be honest, I think that's okay. I think that's exactly where the becauses happen. When we provide room to breathe, magic can happen right here. So may those becauses continue to form for our youth, for our children, and even for our adults, a space to create becauses. May it be so. Amen.
Thank you, Chloe, because that was a wonderful message. Thank you. I will extinguish these flames, cannot extinguish the love with which they were lit, cannot extinguish the faith that our chalice flame represents. We carry the love, we carry the faith into our lives of blessing. And we are invited to sing again. That includes you, Chloe, after what you've told us about your choral singing. If Every Woman in the World, number 1026, in your soft-covered hymn book, or if you downloaded it this week. If Every Woman in the World. in that spirit, may we, each and all, be among those creating cultures of peace, ever expanding circles of peace, holding hands out in the name of love, hands of welcome to all those in need of welcome, because aware of the blessings of our lives, we turn as best we can and make of our lives a blessing to all life. Blessed be, so may it be. Amen.
May you go out with your minds open. May you go out with your hearts full. May you carry the peace you feel through the spinning wheel of days. And remember that this web of love extends as far as your hands. So reach out wherever you can. Oh, reach out wherever you can.
Thank you as always, Christopher. And with that, we say, go in peace.